you touched on The Office, and you not only did you write for them, produce for them, you also acted in it. And
Yeah,
you you
I
just
don't
did a
know
bit
if
of
you can.
everything.
I'm not sure you can call what I
Yeah.
did acting, technically speaking. It was mostly a sight gag.
So for people that don't know, you played a character called Mose,
Hmm.
a hilarious, strange, odd character that was Dwight's cousin.
That's
And
right.
I mean, I got into this hole before I interviewed you of just watching like these like clips on YouTube of Mose, and my kids who were like way too young to be watching something like that, sitting with me going, "What? Why does he run like that? And what's he doing?"
Yeah.
Can
Good
you
questions, by the
explain
way.
to us why or how that character came about and why they got you to then start acting in it?
So the first thing you need to know is that a lot of the people on The Office did sort of double duty. A lot of the writers
Yeah.
were actors. A lot of the actors ended up writing or directing. Like that was part of Greg's sort of vision for the show, is he wanted it to be very collaborative, which is sometimes the case on shows in Hollywood and very
Yes.
frequently is not. So, Mindy Kaling and BJ Novak and Paul Lieberstein, all of whom played major characters on the show, were writers of the show, and
Mm.
they sort of would go back and forth. Steve Carell wrote one of the most famous episodes of the show. John Krasinski, Jenna Fisher, everybody directed eventually. So there was already this kind of ethos that everyone can do everything, and that is part of the way it stays fun and fresh and interesting
Yes.
for people. So there was a reality show. This is maybe more detail than you wanted, but there was a reality show that was on in the States for 1 year. The premise of which was that a bunch of ding dong spring break kids moved into this giant mansion. You've seen this before. And all they were told was that they were going to have some roommates. And the show was called Amish in the City. And then what happened was they got a bunch of Amish kids
Oh
who were
my
on
God.
Rumspringa and who were leaving their community and having their year of experimentation. And they moved these Amish kids in with these total moron spring
Oh,
breakers.
shame.
Right. Absolutely. Shame is exactly the right word for what this was. So one of the people on the show was named Mose, and he was this lovely guy who tried very hard to make friends with the ding dong spring breakers, to no avail. And I was sort of talking about this show in the writer's room and saying how horrifying I thought it was and how exploitative and awful.
Yeah.
And with pure delight, and this should give you some insight into the mind of comedy writers, Greg was like, Dwight is going to have a cousin named Mose and you're going to play Mose. And it didn't come out of nowhere. Greg always had it in his mind that Dwight Schrute came from sort of Germanic stock. Dwight was not Amish, but Greg always had it as a piece of his backstory that he was from like Pennsylvania farmers
Yeah.
who were adjacent to the Amish community. So they wrote it in as a sight gag. There was just a moment where Dwight says, I run a beet farm. I have a farm where I grow beets and I run it with my cousin Mose. And then there was a picture of me in sort of like wool clothes with a weird neck beard and, posing next to Dwight. And I thought that was going to be the end of it. But then because comedy writers are in their hearts very cruel people, they saw an opportunity to torment me, and they started writing me actually into episodes of the show. And they would make me do ridiculous things. They would make me run along the side of a car like I was a dog
Yes.
chasing a car, or they would make me bouncing on a trampoline without a shirt or on a seesaw or whatever. And Greg, the first time I did it, Greg made me actually grow a real neck beard. He was like, it's not going to
Really?
look, yes, he was like, it's not going to look real if you put a fake one on. So you have to really grow. And so for like 3 months, I grew this disgusting beard only below my chin. And then did the episode. And then like a couple months later, they put me in another episode and there wasn't time for me to grow the neck beard. So I just glued a fake one
Yeah.
on, and you totally couldn't tell. It was like, I absolutely could have had a fake beard every time I did it. So it was just, part of it was just this kind of light hazing that was done in the writer's room. And part of it was just this kind of weird backstory that Greg had for the character that happened to dovetail with me telling a story one day.
Did you enjoy doing the acting? Did because it always looks so much fun. And my experience from working in comedy is as a producer, though not obviously acting in it, it is so much fun. So I'd love to hear your experience.
Well, it was hard for me to judge because I didn't like wearing wool clothes and running along the side of a car like I'm a dog in 108-degree Los
Oh,
Angeles heat.
yeah.
There was definitely something fun about being in front of the camera. Like I enjoyed it to some extent. The problem was that like Mindy and BJ and Paul Lieberstein and a bunch of other people got to be like normal human beings and actually say words and have scenes and stuff. And I was just this absurd sight gag that would require me to be in hair and makeup and on the set for like 9 hours to do nothing, to just be a sight
Yes.
gag. So I was always a little bit like, why do I have to be the guy who doesn't actually get to say any words and who's just a ridiculous, like, let's humiliate this guy kind of a
Yes.
thing. Like, I don't know. I'm not an actor. I acted in like high school and college. I wasn't particularly good, but it would have been fun to try acting. I don't think what I did was acting. I think what I did was appearing in like silly pajamas and getting laughed at. But I shouldn't complain. It was weird and fun.